It is the most unrecognized combat sport in the United States as far as excitement goes. You take kickboxing on their A game versus boxing on their A game versus MMA on their A game versus Muay Thai on their A game. Kickboxing is the funnest to watch, hands down. Just the excitement, the combination of skill and athleticism is unmatched. We're going to become the name synonymous with kickboxing in the U.S. There's no ceiling for kickboxing in the United States. Go start a business. The worst case scenario is bankruptcy, right? Your business doesn't work out. Yeah, it sucks. It's embarrassing, but my kids are healthy. My wife still loves me. Life moves on. Take a risk. That phone's still going to ring, and if you're on the business, you're the guy that's still on the hook. It's not about the money. It's a little bit about the ego, but not really. To me, it's just about me knowing that I have a great product and I want to share it with everybody.
All right, another episode of the Quality Values Podcast. Today I'm on with Husky Phat Promotions, founder, CEO, Scott Jones. Super cool. This is St. Patty's Day episode, so I'm wearing my grandfather's
St. Patty's Day
Irish
episode.
threads.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So thanks for coming on, Scott. Real quick to jump into it. You came by my gym the other day and had the shirts. Pink is my color, so I loved it. But what is Husky Phat, and why pink, and why Husky Phat? Like what's the, and I see you've got the gloves there too. That's the logo. What's the vision with the branding? I just want to jump in there.
Well, and that's a question we get, and honestly, I think it's a good thing, right? So the name catches people's attention. Like, what does that mean, and what do you guys do? It's a good and a bad thing, but just to kind of give you a background, Husky Phat honestly was just something. It started out as a joke between me and friends or employees of mine in in another business. It's what I would always call somebody, basically a dad bod with an attitude. If you weigh 250 pounds and walk around bragging because you can bench press 200 pounds but can't walk around the block, 2 times without gassing out, I'd call him a Husky Phat. So it was a joke I'd made. We may tell our friends, and I had one friend in particular before we'd even turn this into a business, to where I actually took we actually bought the domain and I put his face on the domain. So I'm not smart enough with computers to figure out how to go back. But if you went back to the initially when we bought the domain huskyfat.com, a picture of my friend was on that domain before we turned it into a business.
That's pretty good. That's like, yeah, I love it. It's sticking with the meme. That's cool. So it seems like this is like a personality focused brand. Like you talk about adrenaline, the fighters first. Like is that kind of the idea? Set the brand with like the fun, bright, flashy, and then kind of have that trickle down from there.
That's exactly it. We realize we're not just in the fight business, but you're in the entertainment business, and I also realize that people come to see the fighters. They want the fighters on the platform. They don't give it. They don't give a shit about me, right? They don't want to hear me talk. They don't want to see me, and I don't want to anyways. I mean, I have no problem public speaking. I'm on TV. I'm on radio. I've done, you name it, I've done it. So I don't have a problem doing it, but that's why it's not about me. So we've tailored this organization to be around the fighters, to give the mic give them the microphone, let them talk, give the fans the microphone, ask questions to the fighters. That happens before every major event. We do our press conference is open to the public. People can come up and talk about it. So it's been a great response. It's been a lot of fun doing it. What actually kind of started, just to kind of follow back, started the origins of Husky Phat was I had a dear friend of mine, a former training partner of mine and a mentor. His name was Nick Phillips. He was a former world champion kickboxer back in the early 90s, right? Then he got bored with life, came out of retirement at 45 and decided to take MMA fights, and actually won a regional MMA belt too at 45. But anyways, long story short, guy was a great fighter, great champion. Used to come spar at my gyms. We actually had a gym together for a little bit of time, but just one day was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. This is a guy he was probably 55, 56, but I mean, built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, didn't drink, didn't smoke, lived right, ate right, took care of his body, was still sparring professional fighters at the end of his mid 50s, and came down with pancreatic cancer. 3 months later, he was gone. So what actually launched Husky Phat as a business is we all banded together and decided to put on a show in his honor. And then on top of that, we got in touch with the Pancreatic Cancer Foundation, the local chapter from where we're at in Oklahoma, to be a fundraiser for them as well. So it not only raised awareness for that cause, but it also honored a good friend of ours. And we had such a good time doing it. We had such a good positive flashback that it just kind of grew from there. But the actual origins of Husky Phat is that's actually how it started.
Interesting. I saw. I was looking through your websites and social media. I can't remember where I saw it, but there was something about Cleats for Kids. I think it was a foundation. And my understanding, just loosely, is that you guys are partnered with them. They get sporting equipment to kids so that they can run and play and do all that. Has that kind of been a common thread from going back to partnering with that Pancreatic Foundation to this? Is that a big part of why you're doing what you're doing, and also how you execute it?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We're all about, always have been from day one, and continue to be giving back to the community, giving back to the underserved youth. Cleats for Kids was a prime example. A great nonprofit organization around here. They do exactly what they say they do. They take in barely used sports equipment. They distribute them out to schools of underprivileged kids can't afford to buy equipment to play sports. We've partnered up with a numerous ones similar to that. Another one like that is called the Come Up Foundation, and you guys can go check them out. I think it's the comeup.org is what it might be, but if you'll Google search the Come Up Foundation, they're actually a local nonprofit that was started by a fighter here. He's a former Bellator fighter. Had a heart condition that shortened his career, but he actually goes into underprivileged schools and areas, and they teach martial arts. They're actually certified in the city, Oklahoma City schools, to be taught as a substitution for PE now. So they actually teach martial arts classes in schools, and then they have a couple different rec centers around the city. And they don't charge. It's strictly for underprivileged kids. We actually held a charity fight night for them last year. At the end of last year, it was a K-1 challenge / charity fight night to raise money for their foundation. Actually, one of their kids was fought on it. It's the first kid to come out of that program. That program kind of started at the same time we did about 4 years ago, and he actually competed on it. So it was a monumental thing, not only for us to be part of it, but for the kid and for the foundation itself. Because with stuff like that, you can take if you take and people want to demonize martial arts or whatever, or fighting, and scary, barbaric, whatever. But if you take the fighting out of it and you just look at the results, they took a kid who was, when they first found him, was homeless, on the streets, had been kicked out of school. They found him a home. They got him in a routine. They got him back in school. And then on top of that, now that he's graduated school, they've got him in courses, for an occupation. He wants to be an electrician, so they're getting him in. So it's stuff that you can see a monumental difference in his life, and it's just the training in the martial arts has led to that. It's that discipline. It's that something to live for. You know what I'm saying? It's something that a lot of these kids haven't had growing up. Most of them are raised by single parents. That single parent has to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week just to make ends meet sometimes, so they're not around, so it causes idle hands, kids get in trouble. So it's organizations like that, Cleats for Kids, the Come Up Foundation. There's even been a few more. The Big Brother Big Sister organization out of Norman, Oklahoma, is a big one we've partnered up with. So yes, anything we can do to give back to the community, we are looking to give back. Absolutely.
Awesome. And then for everyone watching, as any these links that you just mentioned and any other similar links you mentioned will be included in the description below, so you can go find them if you want to dig in more. I like what you're saying about kind of the stigma against martial arts. as just kind of a gruesome thing, but really it can be productive. And I think you see that. I mean, there's countless fighters who have gotten their whole life together and made something great through fighting. And then there's other people like Mark Zuckerberg who use that. He's training now to help with his discipline. So I think anyone, like, there's some value for anyone. Just
Absolutely.
starts with the discipline and self-defense, and then it grows from there. I wanted to dive into the actual fighting. So you've got the adrenaline focused brand. How does that manifest in terms of the entertainment that you're putting together, and then also the rules? I was looking through are some of the fights with MMA gloves and some of the fights with boxing gloves, are they all
Yes,
kickboxing
sir.
rules?
Yes, sir. They are all kickboxing rules. We
Interesting.
have Yes, no, we're actually the first organization in the United States that I'm aware of, anyways. And I've had it confirmed by a couple people to actually have a small gloves kickboxing division. So we do have
Goodness.
small gloves and we have standard size gloves kickboxing. Um, uh, uh, it's more of, as far as the rules go, it's a K-1 style rule set, or more. It's more tailored towards, if you're familiar with a Glory rule set versus a K-1 rule set. Ours is more. It's closer to a Glory style rule set in that you are allowed to clinch and throw one strike and release. You're allowed to catch, strike, and release. There's certain nuances about it that makes. In other words, you are allowed to clinch a little bit in the modified rules of kickboxing, as long as you're working in it. So that is a slight difference between the traditional K-1 rule set, which honestly I like it better. I like the fact that you can still throw a knee. In close, you can still grab and throw a knee, but we're not going to be stuck in the clinch. The ref's going to break it up if you're not active in it, and he's going to deduct a point if you're not working. So it adds the excitement, and it also makes when you start talking small gloves, not only you have to worry about, one, defense is a totally different ball game. Those punches are going to be coming in a little bit hotter, but there's also more hand manipulation involved. There's more clinch work you can work out of with the small gloves with the rules that we use.
That's cool. um Yeah, you see the bare knuckle is becoming popular. To me, the smaller the gloves, the more kind of realistic the fight ends up being. It becomes kind of more like real fight and less sport. Like, whereas if you go to the 16-ounce gloves, it's more on the sport side of the spectrum.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a give and take for both. I think in bare knuckles a different animal in and of itself, and
yeah,
it's combat sports, so it's not my deal. And I've had a few friends who's competed in it at the Tom Schoaf, fought for the BKFC title at least once, I think maybe possibly twice. He's a guy that I know pretty well from around here, and so I know some guys that's been involved in it. It's not really for me, but it's just a whole different animal. And I do agree, it kind of brings out the more animalistic side. I like to kind of draw the line between still sport, but let's not confuse ourselves. It's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's a
yeah,
dangerous sport. And but there's also scientific argument that'll back that. The bigger the gloves doesn't necessarily protect you. You may not get knocked out, but the long term damage it's doing to your noggin in there. Those mild headaches you have after a hard round of sparring, those aren't good for you long term. Those are what's going to wear you down. Everybody's concerned. Which, what I tell everybody, if you're getting in this sport, you know, you get in it with reasonable expectations. That you're going to come out. There's nobody going to come out of this without some kind of brain damage. That's just how it is. I can argue the same thing about football, especially these kids starting out in football at age 8 to 10 years old too. You can even talk about soccer, but the point is, uh, these big gloves don't save your brain. It might save you initially from getting knocked out or getting, maybe getting your nose broke or something like that. But they're actually long term. They're actually worse for you. There's been studies, and the worst combat sport for you by far is boxing. And this is coming from somebody with a boxing background, just because of, you're taking 1,200. If you're in a 10 round, 12 round fight, you're taking 1,500 shots to the head, right? You may not be getting knocked out, but those are adding up. Those are adding up over time.
Yeah. It's always kind of been my opinion. Bigger gloves are more dangerous for the brain, and smaller gloves are more dangerous for like the surface, the nose, skin, stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Also the ego. That can be damaging to the ego
yeah,
taking it.
I know. And also it's gruesome too if you're not used to it, and it's seeing it, it just it looks more like a fight. Um, Interesting. So with that kind of gives me an idea for the rules and kind of what you're thinking with action in the clinch, small gloves, speed, technique with the hand fighting and all that. Where does the marketing side kind of match up with that? When you're advertising these fights, you've got the tagline. I wrote it down since I liked it: creating adrenaline-filled entertainment for fans and fighters. Um, yeah, like how are you driving that message home for people? Like what types of things do you say to kind of explain to people what their expectations should be watching a Husky fight event?
Well, there's two types. One, there's something for everybody at a Husky Fat event. Unless we're in a casino or somewhere like that, that there is an age limit. It is an all ages show. That being said, and I would take my, go back. I'd take my kids to a martial arts event. So I'd like to take my kids to a football game. To me, there's no difference. But that being said, we entertain the crowd. We're bringing a raw edge. We're bringing a certain energy, whether it's through the music, our announcer. I don't know if you've peeped any of our announcer Dylan, the voice of Dylan, on Instagram, but he's got his own energy in and of to himself. But it's a party, is what it is. We've kind of taken away from. Oh, I don't know if you've ever been to an NBA game or another professional event where they'll, constantly entertaining. You're entertaining the crowd in between breaks, right? They've got cheerleaders out there dancing, or they're throwing t-shirts, or constantly doing stuff. Well, we've kind of taken a similar thing, is that we've always got something going on, whether we're throwing t-shirts at the crowd, whether we've got our 45-year-old bald-headed male ring girl prancing around in some weird outfits. There's always something going on. But there's no mistake, we're there to entertain, but the fights are legit. And we put a we hosted the U.S. leg of the K-1 Grand Prix last year in Norman, Oklahoma, where the winner actually went and fought in the K-1 World Grand Prix that following year. So if you're a striker and if you're wanting to get on that international stage, um, uh, there's only one place that I know of in the United States that can get you to that national stage, and that's Husky Phat Promotions.
So that kind of leads me into what I'm wondering. Like what do you aim to build? Like what's in this for you? It sounds like that's kind of that's your angle. You want to build something. You want to kind of become yeah. You want to build your own thing. Like why do this? Fight promotion is notorious. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. It's crazy. It's like it's kind of like it has a similar in the promotion field. It's kind of like restaurants. It's like
Oh
you
yeah.
better love running a restaurant if you're going to open a restaurant, since it's chaotic. But the same, it's even more. I would say it's like running a restaurant on crack for the fight world. What's in it for you? Like, what are you trying to build with this?
Man, in truth be told, that's something my wife has asked me more than once. But there's just something about it. It just sinks its hooks in you, and there's no other way. I've been involved in the fight game and in the fight community for a while, well before I got into promoting. Training fighters. I've had my own gym on and off. I've invested in other people's gyms. Done some things like that. This isn't my only business. My what pays the bill. This isn't what pays the bills right now. Every dollar I make in this promotion goes right back into it. And right now I lose way more money than I make. That there's no thing about it. But what draws me to this, and what I like about this, is one, I feel like I've been to enough fights. I've had enough feedback from guys at the highest levels who've been to our events, and they've all said that you've got something here. Um, uh, uh, and so, what I like about kickboxing is, one, I feel like it is the most unrecognized combat sport in the United States. as far as excitement goes. I'll argue this the day I die. You take kickboxing on their A game versus boxing on their A game versus MMA on their A game versus Muay Thai on their A game. Kickboxing is the funnest to watch, hands down. Just the excitement, the combination of skill and athleticism is unmatched. You can bully your way into winning a Muay Thai fight. You can bully your way into winning an MMA fight. You can sprint around the ring and jog your way to victory in boxing. You can't do that in kickboxing. So the ceiling, there's no ceiling for kickboxing in the United States. So my goal is we're going to become the name synonymous with kickboxing in the U.S. When people think of us, they're gonna think of us right there with the Glories and with the K1s internationally. So we're not looking to become just a feeder for this organization. We're looking to become the U.S. version of these organizations. That's the ultimate goal. And maybe we get there, maybe we don't, but it's sure going to be fun trying.
What's your feel for the landscape of fighting as an entertainment in the United States and kickboxing? Like, so fighting in general and kickboxing specifically, it's not as popular as these like baseball, basketball, football, that type of stuff. Whereas in other
Sure.
countries, it's more popular. Why do you think that is? And then yeah, we'll start there.
Just culturally, what people have grown up with. Um, uh, uh, you know, the United States is stuck in an MMA wave right now. I mean, that has been for the last 15, 20 years. It's MMA's life. I mean, boxing's I wouldn't call boxing a fringe sport yet, but even boxing, unless it's the major, you have the major fights, nobody really pays attention to it. And now they're paying attention to it for all the wrong reasons, just to see Jake Paul get knocked out. Just I mean, for a freak show, essentially, is what they're paying attention for. And that's you know good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, I'm not going to hate if it makes money and people watch it, I guess, but it's not what I want. So I think a lot of it's just like I said, kickboxing's ingrained in a lot of kickbox, just like how Thai boxing's ingrained in the Thailand culture, where you'll have these kids fighting, when they're 6, 8 years old. For America, it's team sports, it's soccer, it's baseball, it's football. That's what's ingrained. That's what's ingrained here. The greatest American heavyweight champion, whether it's you name it, whether it's boxing, kickboxing, whatever, is playing football right now. I guarantee you they are. They're playing football. That athlete that would have, if he'd have been raised in Holland or have been a Thai athlete, would have dominated the world. Is probably the starting linebacker for pick a team, right? So it's just a matter of shifting. We're not going to ever catch up to these countries, but we do have a fight mentality in the United States. And like I said, just with the popularity of MMA, but also at the same time, there's been a lot of uneasiness about MMA, especially recently. I don't know if you follow all that with
Mhm.
Zuffa and Zuffa boxing, and now all the UFC fighters are saying, "Hey, wait, you're paying all these boxers this much money. Why, I've main evented you for 10 years and never even made close to that." I mean, so it's just there's some underlying tension there too. So you know, honestly, I think the time is now. I'm not saying kickboxing is ever going to be the number one sport in the United States, but I definitely think it can be up there as one of the top combat sports watched, if it's given a chance, if it's put on a platform. I think too many people, and it honestly, it probably would serve the sport. I have a hard time doing it or thinking of it myself. It honestly would serve the sport better if the name was changed, if it was just called combat striking or whatever gimmick name. They have the dirty box. They have all these gimmick names and gimmick promotions. If you just change the name, because I feel like kickboxing is kind of, when you think of kickboxing, you think of the '80s guys and the karate pants and the PKA, where you're no kicking bull. Or you think, which honestly, some of those fights, believe it or not, some of those fights were great, and some of those guys were legends and did some cool shit. But it just looks kind of it doesn't. Well, it doesn't travel well with time, I guess. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it just, you look at it and it just looks corny. Kids look at it today and think, "Oh, that looks corny," right? Um, uh, so I feel like if you can get a national platform to show what kickboxing really is, I think it would blow up. I honestly do, and that's my goal. My goal is to we're keeping grinding away until we get on the platform that we feel like we deserve, and then we're gonna show the world what we're about. And it's not to me, it's not about the money. It's a it's a little bit about the ego, but not really. To me, it's just about me knowing that I have a great product and I want to share it with everybody else. If I was a multi-billionaire, I'd share it with everybody else for free. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I got too many kids for that. So, but that being said, that's really what it is for me. It's me knowing that I've created something, that these fighters have created something special, and I want everybody else to see that special thing that we've created.
How has progress been? Like, let's say you want to be one of these, people know there's Husky Phat Promotion, like everyone knows. What, where are you on the stages they're growing towards that?
We're growing towards that. Regionally, we're very well known. Nationally, we're becoming more well known just because of hosting the K-1 tournament last year. We're actually more known. We're probably just as well known in Japan and the Philippines just by looking at the followers and people who follow all of our content online as we are in the United States, truthfully. So I would say I I don't have experience in this industry. In other words, when I started in this, it's just kind of learn as you go type of thing. So I don't know what more stages there are. I can see from where I started to where we are now, and it's
Okay.
not even close. And I can see our followers slowly, especially picking up, especially now that we've switched all our content. We're slowly switching all over to YouTube, and we're trying to kind of brand off there just to give everybody our content for free. We've had our own app in the past, which was great, but at the time, it's just I feel like it's not the right move right now. If we can get our stuff out there for everybody to see, to get more views on it, that's the more views, the more eyes I have on the product, the better. So to answer your question, I don't know where we're at in the stage. I know what we need to work on, and I've done enough research. I've talked to enough professionals in the field at the highest levels to know what I need to do to work on to get some attention, to get noticed. So we're working on that. And like I said, who knows, man? Maybe by the end of the year, you'll see us on a big streaming platform, or maybe that big streaming platform will be YouTube still. But either way, we'll be here.
That's sweet. Do you expect the rules and the focus on kickboxing to stay the same as you grow, or would you incorporate other sports? I'm just curious, like, what are the core parts that you're growing with?
I mean, kickboxing's our brand. That's our name. I'm not opposed to bringing out other, either doing one-offs or doing other striking events
Yeah,
from time to time. I can tell you right now, I've actually got we've got an outdoor show downtown Oklahoma City planned where I'm collabing with a boxer friend of mine who has a promotion. His name's Liddell Rhodes. Anyways, he just won in dirty boxing now, but he was a longtime training partner of Manny Pacquiao, trained with Floyd Mayweather, was signed to the money team. The whole bit. The guy's been in that game at the highest level. So we're doing a little fun little collab there where we're actually doing an event. Not all of the event, but part of the event's going to be tailored around boxing versus kickboxing. We're kind of taking the because I don't know if you know right now the heavyweight champion of the world, glory heavyweight champion of the world, Van Hoven. He's going to be the kickboxer. He retired. He retired from glory. He's going to be boxing Usyk for the heavyweight title, right? Well, we're kind of taking that, and we're actually going to have a couple of boxers fight kickboxers in boxing, but then we're also going to have a couple of boxers fight kickboxers in kickboxing. So you're going to get
that's
the
cool.
best of. You're going to get so instead of just one come over to my world, but I'm not going to ever come over here. You're going to get the best of both worlds to actually see to actually see what rule set travels better into the other one's sport. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I have this. I'm a trainer, just strength and conditioning trainer, and I have this idea that I carry with me. I call it the transference principle, where certain exercises transfer to others in one direction but not the other. Like if you get really good at single leg squats, your double leg squat will improve. But if you get really good at double leg squats, your single leg squat won't necessarily improve.
Ah,
So like a single leg squat would have a higher transference. It's and my pull from that is that it's more functional. But that's cool. That's an interesting experiment they're kind of setting up there. What is the date of that? You said Oklahoma City,
that is going to be on June 20th. June
June
20th,
20th.
June 20th in Oklahoma City. We will have, there's going to be the debut of some pretty big name kickboxers on the card as well. So it is going to be kind of be a celebration, almost a collaboration for the city of Oklahoma City downtown. It will be live streamed. But don't kid yourself. There's going to be some high level kickboxing in that as well. Not just the pros, but on any big card like that, all our amateurs are high level. Most people think our amateurs look like pros around here. So there's going to be it's going to be a high level card top to bottom, and you kind of get to see a little bit of both worlds. You get to see a little bit of boxing and mix in with the kickboxing on this one. So it should be a fun time.
Yeah, that sounds sweet. I'll definitely be tuning into that. Um, all right, I wanted to shift gears a little bit. My understanding is you run a roofing company as well. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Um, so I just to get some kind of entrepreneurial advice. What, uh, yeah, like what were your kind of core principles that led to growing your roofing company? The way you answered the question about growing this Husky Phat, it was kind of showing me you're very self-aware. You're like, I don't know what the next steps are, but I know where we're at and I know what the next step is, like I don't know all the
Mhm.
steps ahead. So it kind of gives me the sense that you've, uh, you have a realistic approach to growing something. That's what I get from that. So, yeah, what's a little more of your personal backstory, specifically in the entrepreneurial world? What was the story of growing your roofing company?
Well, honestly, that it's just something I was good at doing. It's kind of it's ran in my family. I just kind of give a little bit of background of me. Had kids way too young, so I started my adult life earlier than most, and I would recommend most people doing. But one thing it did, it kind of forced me to get out there and become a provider earlier on in life. The roofing industry, I never envisioned in my life that nobody thinks when they're a kid. When I grew up, I want to own a roofing company, right? And it's not something. Just to be honest with you, it's not something I love or something I'm passionate about. Obviously, the fight stuff is that's what I'm passionate about. But what the roofing has done for me is one, it's enabled me. It's enabled me. I'm not somebody that is a just a corporate America guy, if that makes sense to you. I'm not the person. I have a hard time dealing with being told what to do on a constant. I can't. I have a hard time dealing with being micromanaged. It's just not in my personality. I'm the type of I'm a producer type. You say, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this. I'm gonna go get it done. But if you follow me around the whole time and check up on me, it's just gonna end up pissing me off. So I've always needed that freedom myself, just for my peace of mind. I'm always way more successful, way more when I did. So essentially, what's got me started in it is I worked for my cousin for years. He had a roofing company. It actually started out. I mean, it's just kind of carried on. My granddad was a roofer way back in the day. Whenever I was in high school, I worked for my uncle. I did all the grunt work. I was the guy, tearing off the shingles and carrying all the shingles up there. I wasn't the guy actually nailing. I was doing all the hard work on it. But so I've seen it. In other words, I've seen it firsthand from all sides of it. And then when I worked for my cousin, I was more involved in sales and project management. Well, long story short, I had a falling out with my cousin, and I decided, why can't I do this myself? And I started it myself, and it just started out where it was just me, and then eventually it was me plus one person, then me plus two people, then it just kind of grows from there. And it's not something I don't keep a big staff on. We're one of these companies where we don't do a whole lot of advertising. But I've got a core net of people. I've got a core that trust me with their business, whether it's as high up as governor of Oklahoma, or as a little bit as a little lady in a trailer park that just needs some repairs done. But what it's done, it's blessed me with some freedom. I guess the freedom of time in that I make my own schedule. The only downside I will say to owning your own business, and that comes from anybody, I'll tell you this: yes, you do make your own schedule, but you're always on the clock. That's one thing I will tell people. You might be able to say, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to take off Friday and go play golf with my buddies and go hit happy hour. That's fine, but that phone's still going to ring, and if you're on the business, you're the guy that's still on the hook. So, but it allowed me to do that. Then it also allowed me to gave me the freedom of that, and also gave me the freedom of being able to work with whoever I wanted to work with, essentially. So I've had the pleasure of working. I know you're not necessarily supposed to mix business with friendship. I do all the time, and 99.9% of the time it works out great with me, because there's nothing better than at least if you're going to work, even if you're not really loving your job, you at least like the people you work with, if that makes sense. So, roofing's blessed me, given me the opportunity to do that. It has given me opportunities, financially, to provide for my family, for my kids, and do stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to do. But yeah, and it's kind of as meticulous as I am in the fight game, where I'm very structured with what we do, with our promotions, with everything else like that. Roofing is really, weirdly enough, is I'm much different on. I'm more just kind of okay. In other words, it's way less structured, way more laid back, and then of course unless you start getting to the end of the month, then it's those bills are coming due, and then the it gets a little bit less laid back. But you understand what I'm saying? It's not. I'm not as I guess I'm not as self aware of the stages going up and roofing. Like, I can look and see where I'm at now versus where I was when I started, and it's not even close. Like, it's in the distance over there, but it's not like I had a plan really to get there. Just kind of evolved into what it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, from this side of the conversation, it sounds like your plan was more to kind of build a way to provide that's kind of customized to the life that you want to live. And so that's
Exactly.
like the stages you were describing were all building towards that, rather than just the
Exactly.
roofing was just a means to that end.
That's I mean, that's an exact way to put it. It's not about it's never been about making money for me, or wealth, or whatever. I know that's kind of a cop out, because most people who say that have money, right? And but it to me, like I said, it's never about it's never about money. It's about the freedom of me being able to do things, and to provide a better life for my kids than what was provided to me, and which I feel like I've done that. So but I am truly blessed.
You kind of have that sort of laid back sense about you. Do you Is part of your mission to kind of share that freedom with other people?
Yeah, I mean, I think to a certain extent, I mean, there's layers to me and layers to my background. I will say this: I am one of those guys who I came from, I grew up I came from the trailer parks. My dad was a preacher and unemployed in between. My mom was a nurse. They're great people, great family. They both moved on, but I got no complaints about that. But so I will say this: I am a self-made guy. I've never taken a dime from anybody in my life. I figured out a way to buy my first house whenever I was 19 years old. It didn't help that I already had one daughter at 19 years old. That wasn't necessarily the smartest plan either. But so yes, I think I do feel like there's some value to my story, just in the fact I haven't, there's always somebody who's had it harder than you, but I haven't had the easiest path to success, and it's still a fight for me daily. I deal with depression day in and day out. That's something that's affected me, most of my all of my adult life and some of my teenage life. So that's battling. Sometimes for me, it's just a struggle of being able to get out of bed and just get one step in front of the other just to get going. Sometimes it might take me 2 or 3 hours in the morning of just doing tiny little things to get motivated to start attacking the big things. But so. I guess my story to other people is, yeah, don't settle. I mean, there's nothing wrong if you're working for a living to support your family. There's nothing wrong with that. Whether it's going to Walmart, clocking in and clocking out, if that's what you want to do with your life, that's fine. But don't settle for, you only got one crack at this life. Don't settle for being stuck in misery. Whether it's going to work and going home, or vice versa. You know what I mean? You get one crack at it, and at least find something that you enjoy. You know, whether it's hobbies, whether it's work, whether it's relationship wise. Uh, get out there and do something fun. Fuck around a little bit. Life's too short. Go have some fun. Go start a business. What I've always said, hey, and I've had business go this way. That worst case scenario is bankruptcy, right? Your business doesn't work out. Yeah, it sucks. It's embarrassing, but it can be embarrassing to the ego. But my kids are healthy. My wife still loves me. Life moves on. Take a risk.
Yeah, I love that. It's an asymmetric risk profile. It's the worst that can happen is capped with not the worst floor ever, and then the ceiling is
Yeah,
unlimited.
exactly.
Um, I'm curious, and I've asked this question of other people on the podcast. What resources do you look for inspiration? Do you do books, podcasts? Do you have mentors? When it comes to solving a problem for the first time, as whatever it is, uh, are there certain resources you consistently turn towards?
Uh, yes, to a certain extent, depending on the problem, or depending on just the questions I have. I try to surround myself with people, that if they don't have answers for me, they'll at least listen, and if they can point me in the right direction, they will. But they're not going to bullshit me. I mean, I'll just give you a clear example of it. My wife, she is a high-ranking officer in for a very big corporation, and she's in risk management. All she does is read contracts all day. That's what she does at the highest of highest levels. And so, if there's something that I'm not sure of on a contract, I would be stupid just to sign it, and hope it works out for me, right? Every single contract I get from a venue, from whoever, that goes to the woman who that's what she does for a living at the highest of levels, right? So when it comes to business ideas, my wife's my partner when it comes to stuff like that. It's not that there's anything wrong with gender specific roles. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. But that's not how, we're both in the business world. That's how we operate. So she's somebody I rely on. I have people in the when it comes in the roofing world. I have mentors that I've known as long as I've been in roofing, that I will call and rely on for questions that almost weekly they can expect me calling, if I'm not even if I don't have a problem or question, I might just call them just to say hi or check in, or schedule a lunch or something. So I'm one of these people. Once I become friends with you, or once we engage, I like to, I keep people around. I'm very good. I mean, you have some people that, the long time you just kind of fall off. Not that there's anything, you may still like the people or consider them a friend. You just, lives just kind of tail off. I'm the guy that has way too many friends that still circles back and, hey man, how you been? It's just kind of how I naturally am. And in doing that, you meet a lot of people in life, and you run into a lot of people that get into stuff that that can help you out, tremendously. I've got guys that how I got the connections with K-1 Japan and stuff is just knowing the right people and knowing people that I've been friends with for years, right? And it just some certain pieces fall into place that way. So I do have resources. Most of my resources are normally just built within the relationships I have with people. I don't read or listen to podcasts near as much as I should. I do read some. I do read some. I do follow some things. Uh, I do follow, as far as the fight game goes, and as far as other promotions go. I do follow certain promotions just to see what they do, and see what they've added on to kind of gain ideas and knowledge from them. And it's not necessarily the biggest promote. I mean, the UFC, I already know what they're going to bring to the table, right? It's going to be, they've got all the money. It's going to be awesome, right? Or at least it was. Now people are bitching about the product being watered down, but uh, yeah. But so with them, it's not them. It's the LFAs. It's the brands like that that's been around. There's XFN in Tulsa that's had over 400 shows. It's brands like that that's been around for a while that I like to kind of compare myself to and see what they're doing that I can improve on, or sometimes even I might get lucky and notice some things that they didn't used to do that they started doing once they saw me doing it too. So even then, that's a reflection of, hey, I must be doing something right. So that's kind of, it's a long story, and I know I'm a talker, but that's kind of how I do my research and how I gain answers to questions.
That's cool. But the networking piece of that, you said that you just kind of come natural to you circle back with your friends. Do you have any systems for that, or do you just kind of think like, oh, there's that buddy, I haven't spoke with him in a few months, let me see how he's doing, make sure that the family's good? Is it that kind of thing, or do you have like some sort of system to check back in on people that you want to build
It's
something with?
just kind of it honestly, it just kind of comes naturally to me. I got to give the credit to my mom. She was one of those people that would just stay in touch with. She had relatives, she had neighbors. Whenever she was in high school in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, that she would, if she was passing through or driving through somewhere remotely within 45 miles, she'd make sure to reach out to go out of her way to stop in to save. So it's just something that's come naturally to me, and it's not intended to say, hey, well, I can use this person for something later on down the road.
Yeah.
That's not to say somebody doesn't introduce me to somebody, and I'm shaking their hand and thinking, okay, this guy's ahead of this, and this. I'll make a note of this because we might be able to collab on something later, which, I mean, I don't find anything wrong with it either way, but genuinely, it just kind of falls. It turns out, I have a friend that all of a sudden gets into music producing. Well, we're putting on some live music. We've done live music concerts kind of intermingled with our fight nights and stuff before, and we're going to be dabbling into some live music and some stuff for our outdoor event coming in. So circle back, hey man, you still work at that studio part time, man? So it's just stuff like that, and I just kind of,
Yeah.
and then if he doesn't do it anymore, it gets me to the person who does. So I just kind of have a knack for, I guess, kind of remembering what people are involved in, and then I just kind of get lucky in the fact that, there's still people I'm cool with, like all the people that think I'm an asshole. They think I'm an asshole and they don't talk to me anyway. So
Yeah. Exactly. Might as well live your life. You'll attract the right people.
yeah, yeah, that's right, that's right.
Um, Sweet. Well, Scott Jones, thanks for coming on. Before signing off, you mentioned June. What was the date in Oklahoma City?
Well,
June 20th or
we've
June
actually
20th.
got we got a few on the schedule, but I will tell you guys,
Okay.
we're kicking off our year later than normal. April 18th, we have our we call it the Dog Pounds. The Dog Pound, our fifth volume, volume 5. Which are mostly amateur series at a smaller venue. That's going to be live in Edmond, Oklahoma. You can watch the whole stream live on YouTube. It's featuring two pro fights debut of two pro debut fighters, high ranking guys. You're going to see a lot from them on the national scene. The main pro event is a small gloves bout. And then we're just littering this thing with talent after talent on the amateur card. Anything on these dog pound shows, it's anything from beginners, who their first bout is, all the way up to guys. We've got I've got a lightweight match in there where I've got a one guy coming in clearing from St. Paul, Minnesota, who's a Muay Thai and kickboxing champ for WKA out there, fighting a kid from here who holds three different belts here. It's like a 12-2 versus 10-0 amateur fight. So the level are going to be outstanding. So April 18th, the Dog Pound Volume 5. Go to the Husky Phat Promotions YouTube link, click subscribe, be looking for that. And then June 20th, what we talked about June 20th, we will have our first big show, the big Pro-Am boxing versus kickboxing show. So be tuned for that. And then later on in the year, we've got 2 more official K-1 tournaments where the winner is going to get to go fight overseas. That'll be coming on later on in the year, brother. So we'll keep you posted on those.
Awesome. And like I said, all the links that you mentioned will be included in the description below. So, yeah, if anyone is watching, jump on over to those. Scott Jones, thanks for coming on. Keep doing your thing, man. Glad we got to catch up here. And the Husky Phat is really cool. I'm stoked at what you're doing.
Jake, I appreciate you, brother. You guys in Nashville, be good to each other. We'll see you.